So this is what all about direct and manage project work. Now here, as we discussed, we get to construct the actual work here, and that's why this is one of the most crucial process group we have to address as a project manager. Does anybody have any confusion, any questions to be answered before we move on to the next processes?
No.
Okay. And don't worry, I'm here with you for the next 6-7 months. So if you even have any confusion, do WhatsApp me. I'll glad to these things. We might have an extra lesson, extra session if we need to. So don't worry about that part. Okay. Ciao. Let's move on to the next one. Manage project knowledge. Now, as we have heard, right? It started with basically the IT system. Then various institutes, various universities also started building knowledge base within their organization. So why we do that? It's like recognizing the best practices. It's like understanding how we can live life better, how we can execute the things better, how we can run the company, run the organizations better.
So can we
And
say that these will be organizational process assets?
yes, ma'am. It's normally gets included in the quality management system, but here what they're talking about is a singular execution, like a project executions. Okay, I'm trying to tell you the overall umbrella activity, and then I'll come to the singular project knowledge management, what we do and how we do. But this, you correctly mentioned, this is a kind of input the overall organization's quality management system. And like these processes, we have processes within HR, within top management, within the auditory functions, within the various security expert, the construction and building experts, and so on and so forth. But here we are more or less targeted towards the singular project executions, where we try to understand how do you manage project, how do you archive project, and what do you archive, right? So for that, let's try to understand in an inputs, tools and techniques, and output format. The inputs are here, all project management plan, all components. Now there's a bit of difference between any and all. Any means there is a predominantly or mentioned in the other, means you can choose either or. In all components means you have to include all the components. So wherever you're trying to archive your knowledge, you normally archive all the digital documentations of a given project at a certain space in the organizational knowledge repository. And this happens without your knowledge as well in most of the organization. So what they do, they take a backup of your cloud server where you're storing your this plan, that plan, this minute submitting, that minute submitting, SRS, BRD, FRS, test case run report, and so on. So everything, whatever you release to the cloud, is normally get archived as a normal organizational policies. So that's why the PMI clearly mentioned project management plan, all components. Then it reiterates that thing with project documents, lessons learned register. Now this lessons learned register is normally a separate document, and we normally labeled a team member as a knowledge manager within our team. Most of the organization do, some of the organization don't. But still, a knowledge manager is a kind of resource within the organizations who make sure this lessons learned register is updated. And whenever you have a better way of executing any better thing, you normally try to mention this in a lessons learned register. Something like how to effectively work remotely. Is the morning time better for meeting or evening time better for meeting? Again, it depends on situation, depends on the domains you pardon me, depends on the domains you are working in, depends on various other environmental factors within your organizations or outside your organizations as well. But still, what we are trying to do here, we are trying to achieve the best efficiency for our project executions. And by that mean, you're trying to improve your life as well as your team members' life effectively. Now, all these such policies and processes normally shared within your organizations to make that the other project manager other team members also get help from you about living their life efficiently. And that's how we use lessons learned register throughout your organizations. Now, these are again organizational specific archival system, knowledge archival system. So these are limited to an organization. There are hardly few organizations who share such scenario across industry. And these organizations are Project Management Institute, US Military, Carnegie Mellon Institute, to name a few. And there are various universities normally taking part in basically sharing the best practices knowledge across the domain. So there are, like we see in COVID, the best delivery mechanism for COVID vaccine, best distribution mechanism for COVID vaccine. And there were quite a few awards also distributed across North America for such scenario. One of the award, our previous batch, participant wasn't part of such award. He was working with General Medical Hospital at St. Louis. And he was awarded because he suggested certain downloading techniques from the cold storage to the hospital directly within seconds, and that really helped every quite a few hospitals in return. He got a good award for that, the monetary benefit as well. But the lessons learned has been taken by an organization called HIPAA, Healthcare Practitioners, some association and like that, and that organizations have distributed that best processes, best practices to take up medicine from a cold storage truck to your hospital storage within seconds kind of scenario. And that's practices followed by quite a few medical practitioners across North American region. This is how we normally update these lessons learned register. And there are some prominent institutions, organizations who help us out in this. Even the open system is one of the most prominent initiative started by various scientists or software development institution to make sure even less economical fortunate people will get benefit of all the softwares, learning, building, research and development as well. So they started distributing various software free of cost or with the minimalistic support charging. And you can learn about that if you search for open system in your Google. And it's again, basically these guides shares best practices, even shared by any, developer or any architect, any designer working in a third world country, means underdeveloped country most probably. So they, like these, we have some initiatives taken by various, giants. This includes US military, Apache Foundation, NASA Foundation, and various foundation and trust for these scenarios. So I've explained you the lessons learned registered in detail. Within your organizations, you normally nominate a project member who is basically responsible for updating the lessons learned register on your organizational cloud space. And he or she will basically do that duty. It's not much of a work. It's hardly 1 or 2 updates per week. But if you're doing it effectively, you might have updates on a daily basis. This depends on your way of doing the project management. Again, project management is an artwork. We are trying to make it scientific with all these tools and templates. We are trying to bring the discipline in it with these all tools and templates. Okay, so just remember that one has a better way of doing it. So he or she is sharing with others, and we should learn from them rather than reiterating the mistakes. That's what the purpose of this lessons learned register. Then we'll move to the project team assignment. So these are basically what you're talking about, the task assigned to a team member. He might be a tester, developer, constructor, auditor, designer, architect. He has certain tasks assigned to him or her. Now, this list also does matter as an input to manage project knowledge, because who have initiated those things, who actually own these best practices, or who actually share that idea with your team is an important factor in the whole knowledge base, right? Because in case if we need a details further, down the line, let's say 3 months after, 5 months after, you might go and ask him or her. And that way, we might get a concise best practices design for your team as well as the other teams. So that's why project team assignments, resource breakdown structure. Now, resource breakdown structure is basically talks about what are the different tasks allocated to a resource within for a given day, for a given hour, for a given minute, and so on and so forth. So you try to break down such tasks to normally hourly basis so that you can track the progress. Now, these are basically the best practices we learn over the years from a normal day-to-day project management. Now, each of such resource breakdown structure help us to track the scope, schedule, and quality, and the overall progress of it. Are we in time? Are we on time? Are we skipping time? Are we skipping schedule, cost, or deliveries? So that we can we can mention this thing to the top management and try to understand in case we are having any additional challenge, the PMOs of the world, the senior management of the world can help us out. And then we can get the project on track. We can get the project even ahead of schedule as well. And that's all the target basically, so that you'll keep the project on track whenever, even if you get some challenges. And that's how we try to basically address all these resource breakdown structure as an auditory artifact to take help from the others within your organization. So selection criteria. Now, when you talk about resource, there are three types of resources we've discussed. One is man, the human resources, which includes women also. Material, the raw material required for your construction building, and machines. Machines in the sense laptop, desktop, lathe machine, the delivery trucks, the press, and all those kind of things. In our here, the source collection criteria typically relates to the skill and applicability of all such resources within your project. So if you are developing a Mars land rover, you need those scientists. You need some data scientists which have worked on that data model. You might need some architect who have worked on a vehicle to be deployed at Mars with the gravity, with number of wheels, with number of different terrains and all those things. So like that, you need to select the resources according to the task at hand. That's why resource selection criteria is really, really crucial for each and every project manager. And we learn by experience, believe me. That's why whenever you start normally with your first project, you have given a designation of assistant project manager. So you are basically assisting a project manager to understand all these things, the resource breakdown structure, the source selection criteria, and the stakeholder register relevant to you as a project manager. There is a resource stakeholder register at a project level, which is a shared document. But for you as a person, how does a person react to? There are certain individuals who get connected with you left and right. So you are well aligned with the thought process. So their importance with your project does have a high value. They get sanctioned early, they get approvals to you very early because of your rapport and everything. And that way you can have your stakeholder registered aligned to such resources so that you can get your work done on efficient level. Then deliverables. We discussed about deliverables. Let me reiterate it. Whatever you're going to deliver outside your project is your deliverable, including these documents, these designs, the construction, the code you constructed, the pens you created, assembled, and so on and so forth. So all these are called deliverables. Then of course we have EEFs and OPA to help us out to manage project knowledge better. Then the tools and techniques, expert judgment. Why do we need expert judgment here? Because we have to make sure the knowledge element should enter in a specific subtopic topic so that the hierarchy within your organizations is made intact. There's a structure, right? For every knowledge, there is a structure. If you don't have a structure for a knowledge, it'll fall through the cracks. So in case whenever you need, you might not find it. So to find it correctly, we need to catalog it, we need to index it, And we need to follow the organizational structure of archiving knowledge. So expert help you there. Even if you want to create a new branch for an additional new type of knowledge, the expert will help you where you can create this branch too. And overall, the knowledge management altogether. How do you archive this knowledge? These are normally the Word file or the textual files which are entered into the system, entered into the cloud server as a document. Then information management. So what all information you gather, when you gathered, whoever have gathered that thing are normally mentioned in the information management. So knowledge is one thing, the information pertaining to the knowledge is another thing. And most of the organization needs this thing. Believe me, even today, the knowledge management system needs a rehaul, needs a restructuring most of the time because the knowledge get added left and right. The knowledge manager in a project don't have a time to basically look for the specific branch and so on and so forth. So he just blindly add knowledge to the wrong branch as well. So there should be a need of this information management to have correct knowledge added to the correct relevant knowledge tree. And that's the important factor, what PMI means whenever it talks about information management. Then of course, here PMI extend the interpersonal skill for a project management with active listening, facilitation, leadership, networking, and political awareness also. Let's try to understand one by one. Active listening. This is really an important skill for the leader. So if you are a leader, you'll try to understand others so that they will come with you to put a voice to their challenges, issues. Otherwise, if you keep speaking, if you keep directing all the time, there are problems. Many people are shy and they couldn't explain their thoughts. They couldn't even ask questions. And we've seen in our team also, there are some individuals who do ask questions. There are some individuals who are just in a reception mode. But they have to ask questions if they have any challenge. Then and there, I don't stop you from asking questions anytime. Yeah, I can stop you from speaking if you know if I understood your problem. But yeah, overall, this is how we live, right? And yeah, I am a kind of talkative person, so this goes with a challenge within me. So I try to control that. But still, active listening is one of the most important trait of a leader. So please try to gain this trait one way other, or try to understand it in depth whenever you normally spending your day, and try to understand how much listener am I. I'm a less of a listener and more of a talker. I know that. I'm trying to tackle that problem for the last 51 years, and I'm still continuing that. So pardon me. Then we have facilitation. As a leader, I need to facilitate to all my team members for challenges, difficulties, obstructions within their work. Then lead work and beyond that as well, many times. Leadership. I have to lead by example. I have to lead the team members to the success, and that's what it means overall. So I have to do all the things which are necessary to lead to a project success, working together as a team, and everybody is a contributory factor. There's no wastage to it, right? So that's how we have to lead everybody to the success. Then networking. Now here networking means trying to connect more and more friends, build more and more friends to generate knowledge, to generate understanding, to generate more result. And that's what the networking means. Networking is a really big gamut to understand. And there are many authors, many papers available on the Google on networking. This networking doesn't mean one computer connected to another. This networking means personal networking. How connected you are within organizations, within outside, even outside the organization, so that if you need to get a best possible biometric system available in the market, you might dial some number and get those details. If less network people, they need to travel to a shop and try to understand from the particular shopkeeper what different type of biometrics available and their cost and their plan and so on and so forth. So they are basically need to spend the more time, much more time than a network person. That's why networking makes your life efficient, makes your life easy. Even if you network with a simple, clerical staff at a bank, your work get done much efficiently, or you learn from them as well, like how the banking works, how the overall cash flows, the NPAs, and so on. So networking is really important for our life. It makes our life much easier. Then political awareness. Here, political awareness mostly reflects to the lessening conflicts within team. There'll be some Democrats and there'll be some liberals as always. So we need to understand how we can ignore such, sites taken from certain resources and try to create a uniform environment for our project execution so that we don't waste much time. That's why political awareness is a need of the hour. We need to understand the political scenario, the changes, like who all are doing better for our country, and so on and so forth. So that's what the political awareness is all about. Whatever required to make sure your project is a success and we do it effectively, efficiently. Then there are output.
Excuse
Of
me,
course.
sir. Would you
But
mind, would you mind repeating 3 and 4, knowledge management and information management, one more time?
sure, no problem.
Thank you.
Knowledge management is all about whatever you time. So when I say I found out the best practice in terms of, let's say, traveling from point A to point B, I share that within my team. And there are other 2 or 3 resources who normally use the same route. So what we do, we might rent a car and drive together and to try to check out if it's a faster and efficient way. If yes, we might go that. If it's not, then we might share our knowledge within these 4 or 5 resources to come to a conclusion which is the best possible route or efficient way to reach office from an area, right? It's a possibility I'm talking about. So like this, I'll add these documents to our shared knowledge base where I'll say my traveling from let's say Kansas to St. Louis or St. Louis to Bloomington area, the I-95 is the best. Please exclude I-95 during peak hours because of the stoppages, jams, and all those things. Otherwise, I-95 from such and such time to such and such time, then such and such time to such and such time is the best way to reach from point A to point B. Now, everybody within my region, everybody within my organization, at least leverage those things. So they change their flexi timing accordingly. And when I was working with the enterprise rent a car, we normally distributed 6 such awards for planning efficient route from area A to coming to the St. Louis Clayton area where the enterprise offices reside. They have their own corporate park. There are around 6 buildings of enterprise rent a car. If you anytime visit, they are one of the most beautiful buildings in St. Louis area. And the area name is Clayton Road, Clayton County. You can visit there. And so there are many awards you can basically distribute too. I was residing quite near, so I couldn't be a contributory factor there. I used to walk down to the office. I like it that way. But yeah, it's again a personal trait. And you normally share such knowledge like I'm sharing with you. Is it always beneficial to you? No, but it might be beneficial to your neighbor. It might be beneficial to your colleague, and so on. So now, whenever you share this knowledge, you are in a particular mindset and you share mostly in haphazard way. So I might share this knowledge as an efficient route taken from A to B in the maps section of an archive. But I need to share in a traveling section. I'm just sharing a raw example with you. So who will guide on that or who will update the knowledge archival system? So there's an information management group, information management resources, information management policies and procedures, who will make sure they'll guide me on where to add such scenario. So either I spend some more time and take that part from one part to another part of knowledge area, and that's the information management, or you can say effective information management policies and procedures. Okay. And what the third point you said, ma'am? Does that make you answer your question, ma'am?
So basically, the knowledge that you have, you actually put it in the information system. So I'm just trying to understand the difference between these two.
See, the knowledge has to be written somewhere, right? Knowledge is a content I'm talking about. Information is about the policies and process, how we can effectively add those content. Would you understand the differences, madam? Okay, I'll explain.
Okay.
To make a tea, again, tea is my best example, pardon me for that. To make a tea, making of a tea is a process, but you need water, tea powder, milk, sugar, masala, and what that you need. That's another issue, another thing. Those are the content. So once I have the content, I can start the process. Once I have done the process, I know what are the pitfalls of the process. So one is the content. The content doesn't change with the information management. I can manage the process. I can make the process efficient. The content is a more or less static element here. So the knowledge management is a static, but the knowledge management processes are what we talk about, the information management. How to manage that information, how to manage the knowledge in a way to the process of it. So making tea, get a water in a pot, add, make the water to boil, then put so many spoons of tea powder, and then whatever you want to put it in, masala, cream, whatever, whatnot, or you can put the cream afterwards after filtering the tea as well, depending upon your policies and processes. Now these processes are relevant to a given number of contents. If you don't want cream, you just ignore that content. So your process is bit efficient than the other who requires cream, because then they need to find the cream every time. You don't have to. So these are the two different aspects of one single entity called tea. So making tea is a process. Collecting content is also part of a process, but the contents are external to the process. Does that make any sense to you, ma'am?
Yeah.
And what's the third point you say I need to re-explain?
No, the information management.
Okay, so you got an idea, right?
Yeah.
So let's move on to the output. So the lessons learned register, we are talking about the register, the index, and the document itself. The project management plan, any document, any components which got updated has to be reflected in your knowledge management plan if it represent the better practices or improved practices over the regular organizational practices. And then you try to even update the quality management system or the organizational process assets updation, so that even others within your organizations can get benefits from it. And that's how we normally keep the managed project work knowledge area complete in itself, or it's a progressive nature. This is again in a executing process group, direct and managed project work. So we keep managing the so managing the knowledge progressively, one step after the other. Okay. Does anybody have any question on these? This one, right? Yeah. So manage project knowledge. So have you understood how to normally manage the process knowledge? How do you manage the best practice? How do you manage the knowledge of the best practices? Any questions for me at this moment?
No.
Okay. Let me give you a brief overview of the next process group. And don't worry if you are going slower. This knowledge area is one of the most crucial knowledge area to understand. If you understand this process and the format of understanding, the next knowledge areas we can achieve really effectively and efficiently. Don't worry on that part. Let me worry about the schedule. Okay. In our next session, we'll understand how to monitor and control project work. This is again one of the most important process group where we try to track down each and every progress of a project or a task or activity as we created in our project plan. And we'll have a look at it, how we do it effectively. Then there are perform integrated change control. How do you integrate all those part and parcel you have created in your project work knowledge area, project work process group. So here we integrate and form a concise product to be delivered to the client. Okay, so we are trying to integrate the delivery. And the last one, project or phase. So here we'll try to understand why do we create milestone, why do we create project end result, project clear objectives, and when we decide when to close project, product, services, execution, so that the task of a project manager can be transferred to the support group or a support manager, or basically the project manager can accept more and more projects, and that's how we progress as an organization. So we'll learn about these three project knowledge area in our next session. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. I'm there to answer you. Now, first knowledge area takes time because we need to understand the format. We need to understand how PMI thinks, how PMI have been evolved over the years. And that's why it takes more time. So don't worry on that.
So do we have a class on Saturday?
Yes, ma'am. Is there any challenge?
Just digesting the information that we have done so far. I think 4 or 5 chapters. I'm not sure of about
Just,
the others. I don't know if they need time. I don't know. Maybe everyone can give their input, and then if the majority says we want to go for the Saturday class, I'm fine. But it's just digesting this much of information.
Fair point. Fair point. Does anybody needs a leave on Saturday? Should we take a gap of a day? Please, I'm open for the.
Yeah, I think that's a good suggestion.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we can take some time to read through the book and then understand it.
Yeah, because I was looking at
I know.
I was going through the book. There is so much that I think we just need to read and read more than once actually, so that we can retain the information.
I can understand. I'm with you, ma'am. No problem. Anybody else?
I'm all right with it.
Okay. So let's
Me
take
too.
let's take a gap on a Saturday and let's meet on a Tuesday. Okay. So Tuesday, please.
And can I suggest one more thing?
No, ma'am. Go ahead.
Can we have a quiz, like, so if we can read and we can have a quick quiz before we start the class, so that we can see like how much we have retained, and I'm not sure if everyone is okay with that.
Let me do one thing. So let me, rather than taking a class on 7th, I'll give you some questionnaires. Why on a WhatsApp, a document basically. Try to fill it in. Okay. So I'll try to give you some questionnaires on the documents we learned on the Saturday. Please do practice and try to answer them. Okay. And at random on Tuesdays, that's 10th May, we can basically revise our thought process. We can understand how we, what are the gaps, what are the different challenges we are facing in terms of understanding these topics. Does that make sense?
So we can discuss whatever you give, right? We'll give our input and then we can discuss and then see if okay.
The management, this is an art. You can discuss among yourself, you can discuss on the group, the WhatsApp itself. Don't worry on that part. Okay. Here, what we are trying to do, we are trying to learn. So learning or gaining knowledge is one of the most crucial factors. And please try to discuss, ask question to me as well, in case I can help you more. I'll try to search some additional good videos to make you learn this project integration knowledge area. Okay, so that will also help you out. And I'll post some questions on Saturday, your evening time, so that you can understand how we can basically learn this thing better and try to answer those questions to make sure you had a concise acceptance of a knowledge of given of these topics. So don't worry, I'll do that. Okay, so let's meet on 10th May again, and 10th May 9 p.m. EST. If you have any questions, do ask me via WhatsApp, either personal or within the group, whatever you feel comfortable in. And don't worry, everybody is learning. Even I am learning. And even I learn, like I believe Nabila ma'am give that quote of basically knowledge I by example, right? So this way we all learn together, and we all can be a better project managers. And please be part of those resume preparatory session. Try to create your resume. Start applying, and don't feel like you are alone while giving interview. I'll be there with you. If you have your interview in a first half, I can be there with you, backing up on a in terms of trying to answer difficult question. We might practice couple of good interview questions and so on and so forth as well. So, but please start on those processes as well, so that we'll have a complete resume ready whenever we actually complete the first 3 knowledge area. The basic project management is the first 4 knowledge area, to be concise, and then the rest is more or less cosmetic to the whole project management knowledge. You'll learn whenever we grow or whenever we keep learning the knowledge areas. I'm giving you ahead of time so that we can start working on the other processes parallel. So please do start working on your
So-
profile. Yeah, go
So,
ahead.
so then I have a quick question here. So I
Good.
don't think there are a couple of people in the groups in Guru Schools actually, which in this BAPMP group, they haven't worked as a project manager ever, right? So how I mean, how confident they can be, like project manager, they have to manage the financial